Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Nation, so many times I see people have in their work an allergic reaction to the word sales. I mean, you say sales and they go, they swell up, become apoplectic. It's just a horrible thing. Wonder why that is. Lots of people are buying stuff every single day. So the question becomes, how do you discover who's buying products, goods, services, because you don't have to sell them, right? They already want it. They're asking for your product, and these are people you want to do business with. Now, I'm not talking about leads, because you can spend lots of money and buy all kinds of leads, and maybe that's a great way for you to run your business. But what about a referral? That is getting information about someone who has a demonstrated need for your product or service, and you get introduced to them by someone else. How cool is that? Does that sound like the way you want to sell stuff? Okay, today's guest, Stacey Brown Randall, will help you do that. In fact, she has written a book all about it, Generating Business Referrals Without Asking. So if you're in the sales world, or you have your own business, or you want people to buy your stuff, today's episode is for you. Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome to Faith Positive Radio, Stacey Brown Randall. Stacey, thank you so much for the gift of your time and wisdom on Faith Positive Radio today.
Well, I appreciate being here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're delighted to have you here. I know you're a busy person. You got a family with lots of stuff going on, and you got a rocking business. So we appreciate you stepping aside to tell us all about generating business referrals without asking. Okay, I just alluded in the introduction there to the difference between a lead and a referral. Did I get that pretty close?
Yes.
Yeah, so help me understand even better about the differences between a lead and a referral.
Sure. It's interesting. I have found that we confuse today because I think that it's just diluted when we use terms, sales terms in particular, interchangeably. We start to dilute the definition and the power behind some of them. And so I'll have people come up to me and they're like, oh, I got a referral. And I'm like, actually, when they explain it to me, I'm like, that's just a warm lead. That's not a referral. Or they'll come up to me like, oh my gosh, look at this referral I got. I'm like, that's an introduction, different from a referral. I'm like the bearer of bad news, right? I'm like, nope. Good try.
Yeah, well, not quite. You're almost there.
Right. So I like to think of it in this way. I think anybody that is going to potentially become a client is just a prospect. But it's like what type of prospect they are, I think, is the easiest way to really think about the type of prospect you have. So we're pretty familiar with a cold lead. We all know what typically a cold lead is. And that's someone that you found cold. Like you called them and they didn't want you to, right? And they just happened to answer the phone.
Interrupted their day.
Yes, absolutely. So, which is just give them a round of applause for even answering the phone, right? Because people just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, they probably don't give themselves a round of applause after answering the phone. What was I thinking? I didn't even look at caller ID.
Yes, I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah. And so we always know what a cold lead is, right? So a prospect can be cold, right? They can be a cold lead. A prospect can also be a warm lead, but there's three other things they can be in terms of when you're thinking about prospects. So I always tell folks that you've got a cold lead as a prospect, warm lead, you got an introduction, word of mouth buzz, and referral. And those are literally 5 different terms that describe a different mindset and warmth to buying your product that each of those 5 are. So I'm going to leave cold lead kind of out of it because we all know what a cold lead is, right?
Yep.
So people will tell me, they'll use the term like warm lead or word of mouth buzz or introduction or referral, and they'll use them interchangeably. And actually those are 4 different types of prospects. They're 4 different types of leads. And I find that people always kind of confuse these. And it's only because we use them interchangeably, or everybody has their own definition, so to speak, of how we use them. But what it does is it dilutes the power behind them. And I always tell people the power behind them is when a warm lead is sitting in front of you, I want you to know it, to identify it, because the conversation you're going to have with the warm lead prospect is night and day difference than the one you're going to have with a referred prospect. It just is. And so it's not about, yes, we want as many referrals, right? As many referred prospects as possible. But when you've got word of mouth buzz or an introduction or a warm lead, I want you to know how to deal with those too. And if you can't identify them, you don't know how to react. And so you don't know how to take the next step forward. But I always tell folks the thing that makes a referral different from any other type of lead is a referral is two things. So it has a personal connection. So just as you described, right, in your introduction, that personal connection is somebody trusts you. And because they trust you, they're going to trust you to solve the problem of somebody else they know. And they know that this person has a problem and they need you. And so they're going to make, right, so that referral is going to actually happen because a personal connection is going to be there. And that's really, really important. So a lot of people will come up to me and they'll be like, hey, someone told me they were talking about me the other day to their neighbor or to their client, and that person's going to follow up. I'm like, that's great that they were talking about you, but they didn't connect you, right? There wasn't that personal connection. You don't know who they were talking to, and you're not in the driver's seat of following up. So that's just word of mouth buzz. Like, it's great they were talking about you and they've identified someone with a need, but you don't know who it is.
Right. Well, we think it's great they were talking about you. Let's make sure that it was great they were talking about you. Right?
I'm assuming the positive. Right?
Well, it is
Stick with me.
radio. So
Yes, we're going with the positive stuff here. So the referral always has that personal connection. But the second thing it has is that need identified. And so a lot of times when people are talking about a referral and they're like, yeah, they're, someone shows up and they're like ready to hire you. They're quicker to close. They're easier to close. They're less price sensitive, right? And they talk about all the wonderful things a referral is. Well, it's only those things when they show up connected to you, right? With that personal connection to someone they trust. So the trust can be transferred to you and they know they have a need, which means they're in buyer mentality. They're already in that buyer's mindset. They're like, oh, right, I do need a new CPA. Oh, right, I probably do need to think about, a new financial advisor, or I do want to make sure I get the best realtor to sell my house. Whatever it is, like they know, like, okay, I have a problem and you're going to help me figure out how to solve it. Because the reason why we want referrals, there's lots of reasons why we want referrals, but thinking about it from the prospect's perspective, the two things we don't want to do when we go to spend our money, big purchase, small purchase, doesn't matter, is we don't want to make a mistake and we don't want to waste our money. So if somebody can tell us, hey, go hire Stacey, you won't waste your money, right? Like they don't say it like that, but that's ultimately what we're thinking, which is why referrals are so valuable. But when you have word of mouth buzz, you're not connected to the prospect. The need's been identified, but the connection isn't there. When you have an introduction, you're typically connected because those things will typically happen, over email, but the need isn't identified. Sometimes we're just connected for the sake of being connected because we need to go have coffee with one more person. It's like, am I meeting with this person because they're going to hire me, or am I just trying to grow my network? And I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying you just need to know, right? And then warm lead is my favorite because it's the person saying, hey, company XYZ, they really need to hire you. They really need you. I want you to call Tom and here's his number and you can use my name. And most people are like, that's a referral. I'm like, it's not even close. It's the furthest from a referral of those four terms, right? And I'm like, and of course, cold lead is the furthest, but a warm lead is you didn't connect me. So there's actually truth. Does Tom really want me to call because you didn't connect me? And does Tom really know he's got a problem, right? Because
does Tom even know I'm calling?
Right. And how does Tom really feel about you? Because you won't even put an email together and copy him and me. So I always tell folks is there's definitely ways to take word of mouth buzz, a word of mouth buzz, an introduction, and a warm lead, right? And kind of flip it into a referral. That's a piece that I teach the people inside my program. But the idea behind that is that it's not a referral, and I need you to know what it is when you're faced with it, because how you respond in your sales conversation at that point forward with that first initial meeting really matters as to what type of prospect you have sitting in front of you.
Yeah, and it sounds like you can take one of those others and morph that into a referral by kind of coaching the person who wants to help you out, right? But they may lack the understanding or the structure or something to help you out in the best way possible.
Right. Absolutely. Definitely. I tell people when you don't have a referral sitting in front of you, you should want to try to flip them into a referral. It'll make your life so much easier. And to your point, yes, you do that obviously with what I call the referral source or the person who's trying. Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that means you and I have to spend enough time getting to know each other so you understand the products and services that our company offers and the problems we solve for people. And then you have to trust me because every time you refer me, boy, that's a reflection on you, isn't it, Stacey?
Absolutely. And it's why we don't ask. And I think that's the big thing that people get stuck with, is that most people are like, when they think about asking for a referral, like people are like, well, you say that people refer people because they want to help them. I'm like, they don't want to help you. Like, that's not the point. When you're asking someone for a referral, that's not the help we're talking about. The help we're talking about is the person they know who has a problem, right? What the referral source wants to be in that moment is the hero. We just do. I mean, we don't articulate it in that way, but we were designed, right, to want to help others. I mean, let's be honest, some people are just dead inside. But for those that aren't, right, some people aren't givers, they're takers. That's okay.
What?
Right?
You mean those people are out there, even in Faith Positive Nation?
No, not in this nation.
Not in Faith Positive Nation. No. I refer to them as the working dead, by the way.
Right. So I call them dead inside, right? Like they're just like those that they're takers.
Yep.
But my point is that when a referral is happening, the one thing that people think is that, oh my gosh, you're trying to help my business. Nope. No, they're not. They're trying to help somebody who has a problem, and they trust you enough to know that you can solve it. So to your point, yes, they do need to know, right, what you do, and they need to understand like exactly who you help, right? It's no you sending somebody who needs a doctor, right, and then maybe sending them to, say, the dentist. Like that's not really going to work there. But the idea of understanding like what you do and how you help people is really important, and that is only built with the relationships that you have with your referral sources, or people who haven't yet referred you that you do want referring you. I call them soon to be referral sources. It all starts with a relationship, and and that's where referrals come from. Referrals come from the fact that I have enough of a relationship with you that I'm okay trusting my reputation with you. And the reputation I'm trusting with you is obviously, the one with the other person that I'm saying, yes, go hire Dr. Joey, right? Yes, go hire Stacey. Like they can solve your problem. And so that's why it's so important, but that's why referrals are quicker and easier to close and less price sensitive, because you come with a trust factor you can't get anywhere else. It's somebody saying, I'm willing to put my name on the line, my reputation on the line, with someone I probably know and care about and then have to see in an ongoing way to refer them to this person. So the referral is happening because me as the referral source, right, I get to help somebody. But I'm only picking you as the solution provider, right, if I know you're going to actually be able to help the person and I'm not embarrassed, right, obviously, to be recommending you and referring you.
Right. You remind me of the first sentence in Rick Warren's book, The Purpose-Driven Life. It's not about you.
Right.
But
we want it to be.
Yeah, well, that is our bent, our human nature, our bent towards sinning, right?
Yes.
So you're reminding me that when it's not about me, right, and I'm here to serve others, it sounds like faith is really a huge part of creating referrals with other people.
I think the people who obviously are on a walk with the Lord and are definitely going after their faith and trying to have a relationship with God, I definitely think that they understand that there's that component to it. Obviously, I have those that are in my program who are not Christians, and hopefully I'm able to reach them through what I do. But the truth is, some people are like, it's just good business sense. It's just the way you're supposed to be. It's just that good way of like building a community and having relationships. And to me, that is actually all wrapped up from a faith perspective. But yes, definitely. I mean, I think that the art of being helpful and the art of helping other people and the art of, trying to make someone's life easier is exactly what we're asked to do, and other things that we're asked to do. So yes, I think faith is a big part of it. But obviously, I think some people look at it as it's just common business sense too. So we have to kind of work with them too.
Well, and you're still doing business by the book, either way, right? So whether you think it's common sense or whether you and I know and Faith Positive Nation knows it's business by the book. So how did your faith journey impact where you are today? Because I know you and I are both members of the Business Failure Club, and having launched and failed. But failure is an experience, not a person. So we both learned, right, and plowed that into our current business. How did your faith journey impact you to the point where you got here today, where you wrote this incredible book about generating business referrals without asking? How's your faith played out for you in this work journey?
It's interesting. My husband and I have had this conversation many times where I always tell them that, I think if people looked at what I've accomplished, they would be like, wow, you've accomplished so much. And I look at things and say, I just sometimes choose the easiest route. Like I kind of know what I want, but sometimes I choose the easiest routes. Like, so the best example I can give you is I wanted my master's degree. I don't have any reason for wanting it. I wasn't working at a company where it was going to get me promoted or make me more money. I just wanted it. Right. Mm-hmm. And so this is, we talked before, so you probably, you're like, yeah, of course, that's exactly why Stacey would say this. But like, sometimes when I want something, I just kind of want it. Right.
Well, yeah, that's our human voice talking to us because I want something.
Yeah, mine's a little louder.
Yeah. But other times we feel called by God into situations, right?
Oh, absolutely.
God's voice calling us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like to think that when I do have this desire that's placed in me, that it's not coming from me and my selfish nature, that it is actually something that God wants me to do, whether it's going to be hard or easy. But I'm the type of person, whereas I have accomplished a lot and I know that. And I like to remind myself of that because it's really easy for me then to say, I wanted to get my master's degree. So I looked into a master's in organizational development and a master's in communication. Well, I went the master's in communication because I didn't have to take the GRE. Right. Like, so for me, it's always like,
there's that, right?
Like, so I think, God knows me really well. Yeah. He knows that's a little part of me. So sometimes I get some challenges that I just can't look for the easy way out. And, they say, right, when life gets really tough, it's a great opportunity to just get down on your knees and to pray. And so I can't say that every challenge I've ever been through, even some of my, more recent ones with the business failure, that I truly turned to God in probably the way that I do now with my business. I think for me, my faith has grown and it continues to grow. I'm really lucky to be married to a man who believes, in God and, is a great leader for our family in that regard. But I think that for me, even when I had the business failure, I still figured out in that way to be like, well, if I had done this different or that different, I could be more successful. I had to go get a job after that business failure and somehow survive those 15, 16 months that I was there with that company. And I really think it was the opportunity to start the business I have now that I've been doing now for almost 7 years, where I've seen God more and I've really taken some risk where it's like, this is going to be all God. Like if this is going to, and I find myself in the last 7 years being like, okay, I really want this. And my prayer is different. It used to be like, God, just give it to me. Like, I want this to happen. And now it's, I really want this to happen. I really want this huge deal to happen. So please, Lord, I'd love for it to happen. And then make me okay if it doesn't. Like, help me be okay if it doesn't. So I think that, my faith is definitely just, it's grown from that perspective of knowing kind of what it looks like in terms of how I trust is different. I think some of that also comes with age. I think that maturity comes as well for me. So my faith has definitely grown through everything I've been through, but I wouldn't say all my early challenges, I probably was like, oh yeah, God's going to get me through this. A lot of times it was me and my muscle are going to get through this, me and my will. And then over the last 7 years, I would say I've just been more open to understanding. And, a lot of this thing has to do with the fact that we changed churches and we've been through Bible studies and things like that. And so it's when you pour more in, the more you get to see him and the more he reveals himself to you through other ways. And I think that's really, really important. So,
yeah, because as you said, the challenge is to consider ourselves self-made women and men, right? Pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps. Hey, I can do this, grit, determination, here I come. And then, man, when you've experienced, we'll just call it a business failure. You've experienced results that were less than what you thought you were going to get, it has a certain humbling effect on you. And so then there's that opportunity to turn inward and to say, what could I have done differently? And of course, the audacity for you and I and the rest of Faith Positive Nation to think that we know more about how to do business than the author of the universe.
Right? I mean, right, of course.
He just spoke. He didn't have to lift a finger. He just spoke, and everything that is came into being. Yep. We think we know more than he does.
Well, and sometimes it's not that we think we know more than he does. We just want it our way.
Oh, okay. Ego.
All that stuff. All those things. Yeah. So I think a lot of times it's that way too. It's like, not only do we want it, but we want it a very specific way, in a very specific timetable, in a very specific way. And most of the time that God has gotten my attention, I'm sure it's the same with all of your listeners. It's like, yeah, just let me knock you off the path there, right? I said I'm going to light the lamp for the next couple of steps. I didn't show you the end of the path, right?
Exactly.
So it's that idea of like, oh, I want this. Well, maybe I'll get you there, but I'm just not going to show you how.
Well, we're not supposed to continue to look for the bakery. We just follow the breadcrumbs that he leaves in front of us, right? Step by step by step. And so we follow the breadcrumbs. Pretty soon we get to the bakery. But I love what you said a moment ago about how, and you didn't use exactly these words, but it's all for God's glory when you attempt those BHAGs, right? The big, hairy, audacious goals, the crazy things that God calls you to do in your business, and you're going, what? Okay, the desires of my heart, you put them there. And I know growth lies just beyond the edge of my comfort zone, but you have got to be kidding me. Is that a challenge for you? Because then your faith and trust are really in play, and you got to step up into where God's calling you to go. That's scary.
It is scary. The one thing, and you may feel this way too, being a member of the Business Failure Club, is the truth is I have a lot less fear because I actually know how I'll respond.
Yeah, we've been there and done that.
Yeah, I have a t-shirt, right?
I have scars. You want to see them?
Right. I had a badge, right? I haven't had that problem yet. Maybe it's coming. I don't know.
Knots on the top of my head. Yours are covered up. But
yeah. But and I think that's one of the pieces too, though, is that I think that God's also said that, yeah, not everything's going to go according to plan. And yes, I know that you want me to do all these things, but we live in a broken world and we have to learn to live within that broken world. Yes. And so not everything's going to go according to plan, and things are going to go bad. And I think some of that is how we're going to respond and how are we going to, I think that's the point where society just starts to get it all confused, right? Like it's just that idea behind, well, you should pull yourself up with your bootstraps. I'm like, I will, but I'm going to be pulling on God's boots when I do it, right?
Yeah, or why do we even have to wear boots? Why can't we just wear loafers?
Right. Or flip-flops.
Yeah, flip-flops, so that we can be nimble and move back and forth in and out of where God's calling us daily without being encumbered by pulling on and off boots. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's hard to pull my cowboy boots off when I'm wearing them. I got to sit down, take a while. Flip-flop, I just sling it off and I go on. Okay, let's follow God.
So and let's be honest, my boots are harder than your boots because my boots have heels. They're like 10 times more uncomfortable too.
I'm sure your heels are bigger than mine. But
maybe, but I'm just talking about uncomfortable.
For sure.
Pulling those high heels on, right? So, and I think that's a big part of it. So yes, there's been lots of times when I've kind of been like at the end of that business failure and how to get a job. And it was like, how am I going to survive? Like, how am I going to do this? My big thing is, how am I going to get up every day and take a shower and have to put on a suit and go to work for somebody else? Like there's a lot of moments that I really can reflect back now. Like, that whole story about like walking beside you. And when you see one set of footsteps, it's because he's carrying you. Like there's so many moments in my past when I don't think I acknowledged how he was getting me through it because I was pretty miserable in moments. But he was kind of getting me through it. I think that everything that's happening now in my world is just as scary, if not scarier, but that's not the scary that I have. For me, the scary now is, well, God, what if I am really, truly successful? What if, like you said, what if you do give me like that huge deal that I'm waiting to hear on? Like, what if it does happen? Like it's some of those things I think are sometimes more sabotaging to ourselves is that trust, that blind faith and trust is like, not only can you keep me from the bad things happening, but we've been there, God. Like we get it. Like we know what this is going to look like. But what if you make me super, super successful? And what will that look like? And how will I continue to glorify you? Because even in what I do, whereas I think most people who follow me, who either read my book or they listen to my podcast or they're in my program or they're in my Facebook group or they're like, having conversations with me or they've seen my videos, they know I'm a Christian, right? I'm not like one of those that's like in your face about it, but I am definitely like, hey, like this is who I am and this is who I'm very proud to be. But I have a lot of people come into my program who aren't. So I love the fact too, that as I try to build my business, I know now in a way I didn't build business number one, which I don't know, maybe that's why God let it fail, right? That's why it failed is that I have had the ability in the coaching practice I was in before I moved into the referral piece and just solely on the referral piece is I had conversations with clients about faith. And sometimes I'd be like, I didn't know I knew that about the Bible, or I didn't know I could apply that in that situation. And my faith has grown through the process of the second business. And it all happened because that first business had to fail. I had to be humbled. But, we talked beforehand. So, that's a little hard for me. But,
it's hard for all of us, right? Because we all want to get it right and want to get it right our way and take all the credit, as opposed to stepping out there in faith, giving God the glory. Stacey Brown Randall is the author of Generating Business Referrals Without Asking. So how cool is that? If you go to Stacey's page on our website at getpositive.today, there's a link there to the book on Amazon. StaceyBrownRandall.com is the website. And that's Stacey with an E, right?
Yes.
Stacey, Brown as in Brown, Randall with 2 L's. Please go there. Now, Stacey, there's a contact form on your website where people can get in touch with you and find out more about your coaching groups and the work that you do around referrals.
Absolutely. So they can get my email just by usually scrolling to there's a contact page, scrolling to the bottom of the email, bottom of the page, you'll see my email. But I would tell folks, if you're really interested in learning more, definitely check out the book, check out my podcast. But I have a quiz on my websites. Just go to StaceyBrownRandall.com/quiz or look for it right there on the homepage. And it's a great way for people to figure out how well do you generate referrals. It's 9 questions, and it'll tell you how close to being a referral ninja master you are at generating referrals right now, and then how well you do it without asking. So it's a great place for people who are like, I'm somewhat interested in what Stacey talked about. It's a great place just as a free resource to start.
Wonderful. That's StaceyBrownRandall.com. So go there. And when you send Stacey an email, tell her that Dr. Joey sent you, right? Okay. Is that her? No, that's not it. It's just an introduction.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah, absolutely.
I love to have fun. Stacey, thank you so much. I pray God's incredible blessings on your amazing husband and those 3 great kids. And thank you for all that you do to help us understand how we can get out of the way and let God have his way in working through us to help each other accomplish our heart's desires. Thank you so much, Stacey.
It was my pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.